Hello everybody, this is Tim Barrow again from Titan PM Solutions. Today we're going to look at something a little bit different. Today with Titan we're going to be talking about overall program management and budgeting for your entire organization for IT projects. So the great thing about Titan is with all of the information to be stored within the tool, it allows us to open up a little bit and say, okay, what do we need to put in for next year? And really analyze and look at our staffing models and our people across many teams, applications, landscapes, and understand what the effect can be, what we can handle, and where we're going to have to look at moving things around. So we'll get into it today. Let's take a look at our budgeting process through Titan. Okay, so why don't we take a look? We'll start off in our Titan application, move into our projects, and let's go ahead and let's create a project. And this is just like you were thinking about a new project that was coming on board. You needed to get into the next budget cycle. So let's try to get this one in. So let's call this one SAP Finance Update to GL project, and this is going to be, let's put it in our backlog. Let's just put it somewhere. We'll classify this in our digital experience. And here's the real key thing for what I'm about to show you. From a project type perspective, we're going to call this an SAP Activate project. And this is the project type, really classifies how we're going to move forward with this in the future. And I'll show you exactly what's going to happen with it. For say we're going to start this project in a few months. Let's start it out here on the 17th of July. But we're not going to give it a go live date because that's going to be calculated in just a second. We're going to say this is a large project. It's our top project that we want to take a look at. We can fill out all of the details here, but right now I'm going to get moving just with what we have here. And you'll notice that the rest of the project is blank. I'm going to create this project, and the project has been created. And we're going to see this project that was just created, 5720. And what we'll see here is that because of the fact that we chose a SAP Activate project, you can see that the phases of the SAP Activate project are put in. Because it was a large project, there's configuration that says the durations of each of these time. Now we can actually go out there and say, you know something, we don't necessarily want to have these dates, we want to have different dates. We can override it. The dates themselves, we can overwrite the durations and say it's going to be a longer or shorter duration. And the process will calculate from the start to the end and calculate what our dates are, and then go up and populate what our go live date is. So it's really easy to manage on that, and we'll actually be using that functionality for later. But let's even take it one step further. Let's say that we're going to have some teams on this project. The PMO team is going to need to put somebody to manage the project. We're going to have this is finance, so let's get our people in here, and let's say we've got 4 R to R people. Let's go ahead and look at it, and let's say that we also need to get some developers. There's going to be some development that's going to have to happen here. We'll have 3 developers, and for our last team, let's look at our QA team, SQA. And let's get 4 people there for SQA also. Now, what it's done is it's actually gone back and calculated the fact. If we'll save this, we can actually see that the milestones were put out with our resources against each milestone. It's going to be very important in a bit. And what you can do also, again, from a configuration perspective, what happens with a lot of teams is they're not engaged from the beginning like they're engaged at the end. And our classic example here of our testing team that is engaged at the probably not as much at the beginning of the project, and they can go with pretty light associations at the beginning. Say 10% of the group is what we have them configured for. If we look at their milestones, the first set of phases, there are 4 people who are only designated at 10% of the time to get in here. Again, this is not necessarily saying that has to be what it is. You can configure it to be any percentage, but it takes the FTEs that you were putting the project together at first and puts them at a slightly lower pace than with the rest of the phases that go out. If you're not configured at all, the teams go out at 100% across the board, as we can see with our R2R team, where they have 4 people across the board. So we can just save that. And with that, that really allows us to then take the information, spread it across our timeline, and understand where we're allocating resources. So let's take a little look at our reporting based on just doing that there, and how we would really understand which projects we want to approve for the next stages. Okay, so now we're here on the reporting side of Titan and can see what's in our project backlog. Again, we can really utilize all of the filtering that we want here to find out exactly what we want to look at. We can see there are 6 projects in the backlog, various applications that are a part of these, and we can see, for instance, Ariba has got a single project, while SAP has got 5 projects. So we really can focus in. If you're an SAP lead, you can find out which projects you should be associated with and make sure that you are. The flip side is the same way. Teams can go out and find out what projects they're involved in and make sure that the right information is set up. Here we've got our project listings that we just put out 5/7/20 from our project listing. And we can see the FTEs across all of our teams that are involved here, and really find out kind of where we are, and kind of go from there. So we could really look, for instance, for the developers at this particular point in time, they're involved in a couple of different phases of 2 different projects, a realize and an explore phase of project 5718 and project 5719. So you can really understand where your resources are allocated, and if you're okay with it or need to say, no, I've got a problem on this particular week and I've got to come back to it and work with that. You can look at your landscape timeline if you filled out your project landscapes and where they are and what projects should be there, and get just a graphical viewpoint of what the project timelines look like and where they are. You may be okay with some of these overlaps, and then some of them you may decide, hey, we've got to push or pull something in or out and see where we can go with that. But in that way, you really can understand which ones you're going to approve and go to the next phases, and which ones you're going to have to say, nope, they're out. They're going to get pushed back to next year or not done at all. This does not mean it has to happen once a year. There will be projects that come up and need to be put in here, and as you put them in, you can compare against the active projects that are moving through your cycles. So I tell you what, why don't we do that now? Why don't we take a look at the project we just created and push it on to the next cycle. Okay, here we are. We're up and running. So let's change this project and say, hey, you know something? We've approved this project and we're going to be good to go. So it's really going to help us understand what it is that we're going to, what's approved and what's going to be accepted to the next round. So if we save this, we're going to get a special message now. We've got a baseline that's created at this point. So if we go into our baseline, we can see that this baseline here is out in the world. And not only does it have the basics of what our project is, but it has our milestones and our dates and our teams that are put in here. You can have multiple baselines captured. So that's a good thing. But this can really help you determine at the end of it, we approved for this much. This year we do pretty good at our estimating process, or maybe we really tend to be way too conservative, and we can fit more in, or we are way too aggressive and it puts some challenges up. So the next year, the next project that goes in, we really can adjust the estimates that our project sizes are and really do a better job at nailing what can be done when. Okay, so if we go back to our project here, once it has been approved, we can actually see that let's go ahead and make it active and pretend that we've actually started this project and we save this project. Okay, so it's an active project now. We can actually go out and say, all right, well, we're getting into some of these phases, but you know something, let's change the dates here on a prepare, because you know it's taken a lot more on our prepare time than we expected. So we're going to push this out another week and save that. And what's going to happen is we're going to actually get a new set of dates that we're going to be able to see. You know, we pushed out to the 3rd, which then pushes everything else out and pushes our go live date out. Let's go ahead, and we've done this a couple of times. So we say we don't finish our testing. And it takes longer than expected, so let's give it a few weeks there also, and we can kind of see that the dates are moving out. And of course, as you move dates out like that, you can actually also see that your milestone dates are getting adjusted in the same way. So they're going to reflect the dates that are up here across your FTEs. And if, for instance, you needed to start new projects up in the middle of the year, you'd have the current timing of everything, the current timing of your resources to manage against. So let's save that. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take a very quick peek too at what that looks like at the end of the year from a reporting standpoint. So let's quickly take a look at what that looks like in our reporting solution again. So here we are at our baseline comparison report. If we can see and hear the various projects that we've had and the timeline differences that they've had. We specifically look for our report, our project. First of all, let's only select 5720, our project here. So now we can see we had a 29-day delay. The delay, you can see each of the timelines as they got pushed, what they were pushed to, and cumulatively we ended up with that 29-day delay, and see where that is. We can see again by the time we hit we start out with a 0-day delay, but then get farther back to a negative 28-day and negative 29-day at the very end. So it's just a way of understanding where the problems occurred. Again, this doesn't necessarily mean that there was something bad that's happened, but it really helps as you're thinking about the budgeting for next year to really understand what happened this year. You can go in and update the configuration in your timelines for the different project types, and get to a better spot to where you can more accurately predict what's going to happen year after year. You do have the different project teams and where they are in case there was adds or subtracts from where you began with, but it is something to take a look at there. Okay, I hope that helps you understand how you can use the tool for your yearly budgeting. Thank you again for joining us today in this review of the Titan PM application. You can see our contact details on the screen. Feel free to reach out and ask us for more details about Titan and about the possibility of your organization joining us for our beta program. Thanks again.